Welcome back to Friday Flows. This is Jacob Milliken with 9M Investments, and this is where I go through the investment flows in the ETF universe over the last week. So over the last week, from an asset class standpoint, equities won the day by far. Almost $8 billion coming into ETFs last week, lion's share of those going toward equities. Fixed income, a fairly large number for them on a week. But overall, equities where investors were pointing their dollars. From a standpoint of what peer group, where were they going? What sectors were they going into? North American equities took in the lion's share of that number, 2.7 billion. But global, after last week, or actually this year, being strong, still strong this week. So global equities, global fixed income, European, outside US, Asia Pacific, all in the top 10 of flows this week. So still very strong movements going into the international markets. Fixed income and fixed income government, still big numbers for them on a weekly basis. Where is that money coming from? I always kind of like to show this. For the last week, people were moving out of energy. They were moving out of tips. They were moving out of information technology, mining, metals, and then Asia Pacific information technology. So very kind of concentrated there on those top two types of where they're moving from and into. At the individual name level, starting at the kind of the downside, the SPY, $3.6 billion coming out of that this week. Again, that's a huge number for any other fund. With SPY, that's just kind of a natural week-to-week movement. Some of these other names are some of the names you would kind of think of coming out based on looking at the sectors that we just looked at. Again, tips, again, big overall, big numbers there. Gold miners, again, mining was a negative last week as well. On the plus side, VOO, Vanguard's S&P 500. So good flows into that for this particular fund. QQQ, which is always kind of tells you how investors are feeling, whether they're risk on or risk off. So, 1.1 billion going into that, very much risk on. JPI or JEPI, again, strong numbers for that. Again, full disclosure, this is one that I use in my portfolios. And I guess the secret's out on this fund, because this fund has been in the top 10 now for months. And so, people really love that dividend return. Again, this one is S&P 500 focused fund, but then they put a wrapper of a option package around it to really boost up that income and the dividend within this fund. So again, I feel like the cat is out of the bag, and investors are well aware of this fund now. It's been around for a couple of years now. Moving over to return, looking at what did well last week. As you can see here, blockchain, digital revolution, blockchain, Bitcoin, Bitcoin miners, crypto, pretty much any crypto type of investments did well last week within the ETF space. So again, strong return numbers over 1 week. I will say within the crypto space, typically you will see these numbers reverse, and next week they'll be on the downside because that's where they were last week. So again, a very highly volatile up and down when it comes to return within that kind of space. But this week, this was the week to be in those names to get that boost. What did not do well last week? Carbon offset strategy down 25% in a week. Noble asset return down almost 10%. Breakwave dry bulk shipping. This is one that I've touched on many times. This particular fund tends to be on the top or on the bottom. And this Noble asset return is a very similar one, where very low returns and very high returns, depending on what's going on in the world there. So anyway, so this is a quick overview of kind of what's going on from an investor standpoint, of where they're pointing their dollars, and kind of give you an idea of what actually did well. So we'll touch on it again next week. I hope all is well, and you have a great weekend.